Hello everyone, HuskeyNinja here, and welcome back to my channel. I figured today, as the first deck overview of the year, that I'd show you guys some alterations I've done to my own RWBY deck. As I've recently done, well, last year, towards the end of last year anyway, I did some alterations to it. I will put a link down below to where you can find it on Decklog. So if you want to have a better look yourselves, you can. Or if you want to see how it'll work for yourselves, it'll be down below. As well as a link to my Discord server. But without further ado, I shall show you guys alterations I've done to my RWBY deck. Its name is also changed from Gold to Ignite. Why Gold to Ignite? It references two RWBY songs that are Yang songs. It references Gold, which is her Volume 1 song, and Ignite, which is her Volume 4 song. Which is quite fitting with one of the alterations in this deck. So, as you guys can see, I do have a fair bit of Yang still. And you can see already one of my alterations. But we'll start with the level 3s. As I run 2 copies of Yang Vital Festival, which is my only level 3 that has a climax combo in my deck. Is a 3/10, well, level 3, 10k soul. Full job. When this card is placed on the stage of your hand, look up to 3 cards on the top of your deck. Choose up to 1 card among them, put it into your hand, and put the rest into your waiting room. An auto climax combo. When falling into a trap is placed on your climax area, if this card is in your center stage, choose one of your other characters, and that character gets the falling ability till the end of turn. Auto. This ability activates up to 1 per turn. When damage dealt by this card is cancelled, you may deal 2 damage to your opponent. Damage may be cancelled. It is a regular rarity for it. But it's because it shows lots of flames. Plus, it's just a good level 3, in my opinion. Next up, we have the only villain in the whole of my deck, and that is Salem. Why Salem? We will get to that. Continuous. This gets 1,000 power for each character in your opponent's backstage. So as long as your opponent's backstage is full, you'll get 2,000. Easy on top of this, making her 11k without any assists on your side and without any climax cards. Or any character abilities to give her a boost. And that is continuous. But her auto ability is why she's in my deck. Auto, pay 1. When this is placed on the stage from your hand, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose one of the following effects and perform it. This is why I run 2 copies of her. It's also because that's how many copies of her I do own. Your first option for this ability is your opponent puts all their stock into their waiting room, puts the same number of cards from the top of their deck to their stock. They cannot look at these cards. And it's a good way to send a lot of their climax cards that way. You have a chance of that happening. You also have a chance of sending their best cards to their stock. But my favorite one being the second option, which is Put the bottom 5 cards of your opponent's deck into their waiting room and deal X damage to your opponent. X is equal to the number of climax cards amongst these. Damage may be cancelled. So basically, you can burn them for as many climax cards you send to their waiting room. From the bottom of their deck. So as long as you have like 2 or 4 copies of this Salem card, you're going to be doing quite a bit of chip damage before you do any attacks. And that is why this Salem and this Yang are in here. For the burn-esque damage, which I'll just call chip damage. Because you can get it. So this one can give it a character an extra 2. This one, it's basically the second ability you get chip damage onto your opponent. Or you can have that chance of with this card, you can send some of your opponent's best cards or a majority of their climax cards to stock. And if they have nothing they can play right there and then, it gives you a slight advantage. The other level 3 I have, which is 2 copies of. Excuse me. I'm so sorry for coughing. I've only just recently got over my cold. As of the date of recording. Anywho's, this is the last of our level 3s in my deck. It is the trial deck Yang Enraged. When this card is placed on the stage from your hand, you may put the top card of your clock into your rain room. Meaning she's a good healer, especially when you get to level 3. And auto, pay 1, put a card from your hand to the rain room. With attacks, you may pay the cost. If you do, all your remnant characters get 500 power and a soul to the end of turn. So she can give things an extra power boost. She's really good for when you have these out, or even like the level 2s out, which I love using. But now we're on to our level 2s. Next up we have Yang Warm Welcome, which is from the booster set. It's from the base booster cards. Not from the trial deck. For those of you new to the Weiss Schwarz and the RWBY set. If you have 2 or more other remnant characters, this gets 3k, making her a 10k. Continuous, as long as you meet the requirements. So it's best to keep cards in your back row to make sure she continually gets this. Ideally, like Uniform Jean, or things where it's like, this character gets X power boost to the cards in front. X is equal to, like, times times level. Those are cards. And this is one bonus this one has over the trial deck Blake here, which has the same ability. But the Yang has an extra bonus, as well as an extra soul, which is Auto Encore. Put 1 remnant character from your hand to the waiting room. When this card is put into your waiting room from the stage, you may pay the cost. If you do, return this card to its previous stage position as rested. So it saves time to pay 3 stock to do Encore, which is the only downside of the trial deck Blake. Next we have 2 copies of Yang Team RWBY. Both rarities of it, and a copy of each. This one is one that's best if you do play it to use standby to get it out. Mostly because of one of its abilities. Its continuous ability is good. Second one, not so much. But during your turn, this card gets 1,000 power for each of your other remnant characters. Which is good. This is now the reason why it's best to play this card by or standby. Auto, when this card is placed on the stage from your hand, choose a character in your opponent's center stage, and that gets 1,000 power till the end of your opponent's next turn. This is one of those where it's like, I only have her in there for Yang representation and her first ability. I refuse to play her from hand. Very rarely do I play her from hand. It's mostly like, get a standby card out, bring her out that way. Just so I can avoid the auto. For this card, you have this artwork. And you also have this artwork as well, which has all of her Ember Silica bullets as the background. There's also a Team RWBY card for Ruby, Weiss, and Blake. We have like the full illustration version and one where it's like really cool artwork. Next, we have the level 2 backup card Crow Bronwyn, which is from his fight with Winter at Beacon Academy. Auto, pay 2. When you use this card's backup, you may pay cost. If you do, return all cards in your rain room to your deck and shuffle your deck. This is a good way to basically, you're running low in your deck. You want to try avoid basically like the penalty for when you have to refresh. This is a good way to do that. Because it's like, oh, all the cards I need quite soon are all in there. I can't get them out. I know I'll pay 2 stock to do the ability. We'll do this auto. Shuffle those back into my deck. And I get a better chance of getting them out. And action. He gives a 2,500 backup. Pay 1. Put this card from your hand into the rain room. Choose one of your characters that's being frontal attacked. And that character gets 2,500 power boost till the end of turn. That's the only reason really he's in here, is for backup and for if I really need that emergency, like sending cards from my rain room to my deck and reshuffle. Next we have the level 2 Blake from the trial deck, which has the same continuous ability as the level 2 Yang. Which is, if you have 2 or more other remedy characters, this gets plus 3k. It's both this card and the Yang Warm Welcome. They're really good when it's like you can stand by them out while you're at level 1. Or if you're at level 0. But it's like you're fighting someone who has this, who's playing either the Blake or the Yang. They're slightly difficult to get by. Next, we have one of the level Slayers in my deck, which is a single copy of Uniform Weiss. This gets 500 power for each of your other remnant characters in your backstage. So she only gets 1,000 from your backstage without any of like the assist card's abilities. And auto, when this card attacks, if the character facing this is level 3 or higher, this card gets 6k to the end of turn. Which is really good to tackle like level 3s that your opponent can get out via standby or early runners or other gameplay mechanics. Is a good way to try and get through them. Next we have our second backup character of the deck, which is Uniform Yang from the food fight scene. Auto, when you use this card's backup, reveal the top card of your deck. If that card is a remnant character, put it into your hand and choose one. And put it in your hand, choose one card in your hand and put it in your waiting room. Otherwise, return the card to its original place. In auto, backup 2,000. Pay 1, put this card from your hand into your waiting room. Choose one of your characters as being frontal attacked, and that character gets 2k to the end of the turn. So it's just a small power boost, but it's good for like early game when you're level 1 and level 0. Cards are still on stage. It's a good way to try and protect them. And next we have the alteration I have done to this deck, which I did towards the end of last year. And that is, I got myself 3 copies of one of the RWBY premium set cards I've been after. I would have gotten the others, but they were sold out. So I was able to get my hands on the normal rarity of Yang Determined, as well as 2 copies of its Overframe rare for under £19. So it's like around about £18, which I shall quickly check on the fly. Which is around about $24 USD, which I think is a steal, especially with what the premium stuff cards can do. But to make it easier to read the text and for you guys to see what it does, we're going to look at the normal rarity. Just taking all of the awesomeness. Continuous. If you have 2 or more other remnant characters, this gets 2k. And auto, pay 1. When this card attacks, you may pay the cost. If you do, during that attack, perform a trigger check 2 times on the trigger step. Which basically means you do 1 trigger, you have a chance of getting a soul damage added on, then you do it again. You have a chance for yet another one to be added on. So it's a really good level 1 card. It's just a shame that the really gorgeous, like, beautiful artwork one, that's a signed one, was out of my budget by quite a bit. But I'm just glad I was able to get some of the premium stuff for my deck. Next up, we have RWBY Teamwork, which is from the trial deck. I do run 2 copies of the SR, just because I like how it has her emblem in the background. When this card attacks, if you have 2 or more other remnant characters, this card gets 2k until the end of turn, making her a 6/5 on her own. And Climax combo. When this card's battle opponent becomes reversed, if initiation is in your Climax area, look up to 4 cards on the top of your deck, choose up to 1 remnant character among them, reveal it to your opponent, put it into your hand, and put the remaining cards into your waiting room. Choose one of your characters, and that character gets 2k to the end of turn. So she gives herself 2k, but then as long as you have the trial deck Climax card, which I do run 1 copy of, but as long as you run that at the same time as you have her out, you can give any of the other cards the extra power boost. So she's just there, like, in case I can't get anything else out. The next up, we have 2 of the 3 cards that Base Damage sent me, that if you guys haven't already, make sure you go check him out and all of his awesome videos. But we have Raven Bronwyn with her mask on, and also her with her mask off. An interesting RWBY fact, both Raven and Neo wear the same necklace. So, that's the cool RWBY fact. There will be another one later on. Anyhow, Raven Bronwyn. When your Climax is placed on your Climax area, this gets 1,500 power to the end of turn. Auto, when this card attacks, choose one of your other remnant characters, and that character gets X power to the end of turn. X is equal to the number of other remnant characters you have times 500. So as long as you have a full state, your stages go like front row and back row, you got a decent amount of a power boost to give to a character. And where I run 2 copies of it, you can do it twice. Next up, we have the Blake Assist, which does the same as the Trodeck Pira, but costs less. And is a little bit more. Assist all your remnant characters in front of this card get X power. X is equal to that character's level times 500. This is really good once you get to like level 2 and 3. This is a good one to have out. And auto, pay 1, put 1 Climax card from your hand into your waiting room. Choose 1 remnant character in your waiting room and return it to your hand. So she's a good level 1 assist. Especially when it's like, you got any of the level 2s or 3s out. Because otherwise you only get 500 if you're at level 1. But next up we have the other level Slayer, which is Winter Schnee. With her just before she starts her fight with Crow. When this card is placed on the stage from hand, if you have, or if your other remnant character, I shall start that again tongue-tied. When this card is placed on stage from your hand, if you have another remnant character, this card gets 2k to the end of turn. And her other auto is, when this card attacks, if you have 2 or more other remnant characters, and the character facing this card is level 2, this card gets 6k to the end of turn. Making her a good way to manage level 2 cards that you can't otherwise beat easily. But I run 1 copy of her, which base damage sent me. And next, we have the main assist card for my deck, which is Uniform Jean. And before I go on to what he does, it may be weird for me to say, but because I can't get it out of my head after one of my friends pointed out to me, Jean's VA voices one of the battery mascots. I shall quickly double check which one it is. But I know it's one where it's like, currently, it's like, you have 2 Formula 1 drivers, and it's like, they've boosted the bunny. Yeah, it's with Duracell. Jean's English VA is currently the voice of Duracell. So if you see the Duracell's current advert pop up on either their TV or YouTube or TikTok, and you think you're hearing Jean, you are. One of my friends pointed out to me while we met up at a convention. And I can't unhear it. But adds doubly to it because of John's hoodie has a pink bunny on it. So it could have been fate. Anyhow, continuous all your other remnant characters get 500 power. So regardless of if your card is in front of Jean or not, they'll get the 500 power. And auto, when you place a Climax card in your Climax area, choose one of your characters, and that character gets 1,000 power to the end of turn. Which is really nice, especially when it's like you get a 1/1 out. Like any of the 1/1s, you get basically make it a 2/1, essentially, while you have Uniform Jean out. Or, like, if you have 2 copies of him out, it's basically, you can either give 2 of your characters 1,000 power boost, or you can give 1 character 2,000, and then the 1,000 power they'll get from the 1/1 Climax cards. So I run 3 copies of Jean for that fact. Next, we run 4 copies of Crow Priorities. Continuous, all your opponent's characters get auto encore at the cost of 2, which just basically means your opponent pays 1 less stock to encore their characters, while he is on stage. And auto, when this card is placed on stage from hand, you may choose one card in your hand and put it into your stock. The auto is the reason this Crow card is in my deck. Not only is he like a decent power level for level 0, but it's most so for the second ability, because if you guys haven't noticed already, a lot of these use a lot of stock. So as long as I have a card like Crow Priorities to help build up on that stock, it helps. Next, we run 4 copies of Yang Free Falling, which is from the trial deck. Continuous, if your stock is 2 or less cards, this gains 1,500 power. This is great if you don't have anything in stock and it's like in your opening hand. She's really good to get out early game. Or it's like you've just run out of stock. You need something to fill in the space because one of your other cards got reversed. Play her down. Play her first to do some chip damage. Even if you have to reverse her to do the damage, she's a really good card to get out. Next is the only event, which is a flashback scene of Child Yang. Which I don't think is adorable. If you do not have a remnant character, this cannot be played from hand. And you may choose one remnant character in your hand, put into your waiting room. If you do, choose one climax in your waiting room, return it to hand. This is a good way for it's like... Let me just double check. Yeah. So if, for example, you got this RWBY out, or you got the Yang of Vital Festival out, or any other cards that need a specific climax card, but that card's in your waiting room, having a childhood memory is really good to get that card back to your hand so you can play it. So it makes it feel like you got more than one copy of a climax card, or more than like the number of cards you have of that climax card. So it's like, okay, I need this climax card. It's currently in my waiting room. I'll play this event. Get it back to hand. Then I'll play the climax card before I do any attacks. So it's really good to correspond this with doing any climax combos. So now we've looked at all the characters and the singular event card. We are now on to our climax cards. Starting with the 2 which are climax combos. First off, we have Fallen into a Trap, which is a 1/1. And with its trigger ability, when this card triggers, you may choose a character with a soul icon in its trigger icon in your waiting room, return it to your hand, or put it in your stock. If I'm running low on stock, I'll send a stock. If it's something I know I will play there and then, it goes into my hand. So both Falling into a Trap and Crow are just really good for me to build up stock. And next we have the single copy of Initiation, which, to be honest, I prefer this artwork over its standard artwork. It is a card that works with 2 cards in the RWBY trial deck, because it works with the Weiss and it works with the RWBY. But I prefer how it looks with this artwork. Plus, whenever I see it, I just, in my head, I hum Red Like Roses Part 2. Such an awesome soundtrack. Anyway, all your characters get 1,000 power and 1 soul. And Door. When this card triggers, you may choose a character in your waiting room or turn it to hand. Because of this ability, I sometimes refer to Door as Coffin, because it's a character card resurrection, essentially. Next, there are 3 copies of the standby climax card, RWBY's Awakening. When this card is placed on your climax area from hand, perform the standby effect. And when this card triggers, you may choose one character with a level equal to or less than your level, +1 in your waiting room, and put on any position on your stage as rested. So whether you trigger it or you play it, you do the standby. Which means if you're at level 0, you can get level 1s out. If you're at level 1, you can get level 2s. If you're at level 3, well, if you're level 2, you get level 3s and level 2s. But if you're level 3, you get all of them, basically. So it's a fun standby to run. I don't run 4 of it because I don't want to be overly reliant on standby for my RWBY deck. And a lot of people do standby builds for RWBY, where it's like 4 copies of one standby, 4 copies of a different standby. I just run 3 copies of a singular standby card. Next, we have 2 copies of Team RWBY. We have one of them all in the alley during the Vital Festivals. And next, we have the one which they've also used for the supply set sleeves. Which, I just love this artwork. It's too cute. All your characters get passive power and a soul. And when this card triggers, you may choose a climax card in your main room and return it to your hand. So basically, Archway, or as we all commonly call it, pants, as it does look like a pair of pants or trousers, depending where you're from. So it's like, pants equals your climax cards. And the door equals character. Hence why I'll sometimes call door coffin. But that is my RWBY deck. And in total, there are 19 in yellow, 21 in red, and 10 blue. With 26 trigger icons total. So, for ones where it's like, the chances of getting an extra soul onto my attacks is quite high. But thank you all so much for watching my video. I'm so sorry for the bits of just random RWBY facts for you guys. But I am a big RWBY fan. So these things will happen. I will make sure to put a link down below to my deck, so you guys can check it out for yourselves. Or if you want to put it in a simulator or try to build it yourself to see how it runs, you're more than welcome to. I will also put a link down below to my Discord server. And also, please don't forget to give me a like and a subscribe while you're there. It'd be very much appreciated. And also, please feel free to check out the rest of my videos here on my channel. So without further ado, bye everyone!